Please rise for the pledge. Cecily, roll call, please.
Counselor Augsburger,
Present.
Counselor Bronson,
Present.
Counselor Hagee,
Here.
Counselor Richards,
Here.
Counselor Sanchez,
Here.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Here.
Mayor Coleman.
Present. Let the record show that there are 7 present and 0 absent. I see a lot of people here tonight that are in the public. I just want you to know in a work session, there's no public comment period, but you are welcome to stay around for the 6:30 meeting and submit a public comment request form before that if you would like to. I'm going to pass it on to City Manager Jason Ogden.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Council, welcome. Good to see you here tonight. And thanks for coming to this work session. So tonight, we're going to be talking about 2 of the council goals that everyone decided would be a priority for the council this year or this next budget year. One is going to be, what are we going to do with Old City Hall? And just by way of reminder, Ridgeway is now out of there, so it does sit as a vacant building in our community, and council thought it would be a priority to try to figure out how we're going to move forward with that. Just by way of reminder, a few years ago, the fire district was actually interested in maybe purchasing that building. And when they did their research, they had learned that it was going to cost approximately $1.2 million to update that. So that is one of the things we will be discussing. And then also, since we're talking about vacant buildings, another one of the council goals was to discuss what we're going to do with, or if we're going to do anything with the downtown vacancy reduction that you guys had as a goal. Just by way of reminder, stat-wise, as of 2023, we had 23 vacant buildings on Main Street and Long Street. This particular goal was also a goal last year, and the council last year decided to have a work session on that, but that didn't go anywhere. So at this point, staff has not brought anything with us as far as what staff thinks. We just want to get a direction from council, have some good discussion from council on what, why was this a goal and what you all feel about these goals. And so with that, I will hand it over to council for some discussion.
Thank you. Counselors, it will be an open discussion time. And I just want to say, I'm the one that wrote down Old City Hall on one of the goals lists, because it is something that kind of sits there as a weighted thing that we have that we need to address. So maybe Jason, you could also tell us about the cost of what is it that's going to be like if the fire district said $1.2 million, what was it that it was included in that?
So one of the biggest costs for that is the elevator. So the current elevator that we have in there is old. We cannot get replacement parts for that. The state has done inspections and has basically told the city that we have to get this fixed, and they've given us till like the end of this year. But we're looking at probably anywhere from $500,000 up to almost $1 million to get this elevator replaced. With that, there's some HVAC stuff that is related to the elevator that is an additional cost that is complicated to get to and repair. So that is really one of the major costs for that building. So.
Yeah.
Question on Old City Hall. And I understand for being out of compliance, there's fines. How much are those fines? And can you give it just a little bit more on that
Yeah.
story so everybody in the room understands what we're up against.
So it took us a while to get in touch with the state office to get some clarity on that. And so there's a little bit of conflicting information. When I spoke with the elevator inspector, he indicated that there were no fines. However, in state code, there is a fine table that could be assessed if they chose to convene a board that would evaluate the state of the building, essentially. So it could be nothing, or it could be something along the lines of what's in that fee table. And I apologize, I don't have that in front of me. But again, it's unknown at this time.
So to go with that, so the building's out of compliance right now. So the usability and rentability of is in question because of this major out of compliance.
The major liability at this point is the lack of ADA compliance, which makes it essentially non-viable moving forward unless we can get it into ADA compliance. The question had been raised, for example, could we install one of those seated chairs on the stairway? That is not considered compliant with commercial ADA code.
Then the third question I had was demolition. How much?
So yeah, we did actually get a quote for that. And the quote for that came in at $162,052. And that was pretty conservative quote. So still considerably less than, 1 million.
Math looks pretty simple to me on that one. We can't rent it, can't use it. We're out of compliance. Cost to fix it, $500,000, maybe $1 million. Level it and start over, 150,000. Okay. Thank you.
So what?
Any other counselors have comments or questions about?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
So what's the value of the building as is?
We can get back to you on that. Not sure what the value of it is.
Madam Mayor, how much property taxes do we pay each year on that building?
So up until Ridgeway moved in, we paid none because it was assessed under public use. We did have to report to the Lynn County Tax Assessor Collector, so we will be assessed for the short time that the lease was in place, and I'm not sure what those will be. They didn't estimate those for us, but it's based on how much usage was done in the building. But that will go away effective July 1st.
Perfect. So basically, we're losing money on this. I personally don't see any reason to keep this building. I mean, I've said that once, twice, 3 times now, but I would like just to see it gone because I feel like it's costing the city money, and I hate to see us just burn money, but that's one thing this council's good at doing. But I'm sick and tired of seeing it there.
Any other counselors have any comments or questions?
I'm shocked by the lack of communication on this, since it was a goal. I too would like to see us move away from the old city hall, whether it's demolition or whether it's seeing if there's any value there that somebody would want to purchase. I know that it's very ran down, and some people will say that it's got mold and all kinds of lead and all kinds of stuff in there. So I don't know if it's really usable. And I would like to see that area used something better for the city, like outdoor parks or food courts, or I mean, there's tons of things that the city can do there to help the city and for the people to gather. So that's my input.
We can't make any formal decisions in a work session, but we can come to a consensus on this. And I think what the staff was doing was asking for guidance on what to do regarding Old City Hall. We've heard a few counselors discuss what their thoughts are or general ideas. So I think we can, if you have an idea of what you would like done, it would be helpful so that staff can move forward. I've said it to staff before, and I'll say it here now too. I'm okay with moving forward with it as well, and just finding a way to, be done with the building. So a cost that we would incur either way, but the expense of fixing it, I don't think we have the funds to do that right now.
And Counselor Sanchez, just to answer your question, I pulled up our most recent appraisal from CIS. They valued the old City Hall at $918,900.
So to me, that's a good amount of money that I would hate to see just destroyed. So I'd like to see somebody purchase it instead of spending money on demolition, unless we have a better idea.
Oh, Madam Mayor, just to be clear, when I said to get rid of it, I meant someone purchased it. I wasn't talking about demolition, just to be clear.
So, Madam Mayor,
Mhm.
if we decide to sell it and its estimated value is 900,000, was that prior to the damage, prior to the elevator, prior to any other access to it?
This assessment was done, what, a couple of months ago, I believe?
Yes, or maybe late last year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look in the report though, because it says something about exclusions, but I don't have that immediately in front of me. So I apologize.
So again, I think the consensus would be that I think we should find out what the value of it is, if somebody would be interested in purchasing it. But, yeah.
May I? If we were to sell it, though, we would want to make sure that it was as is and there were no promises about the elevator, because that would be counterproductive. But I agree that we should do something to no longer have it be costing us money.
And in looking at the detail report, there are no notes in that appraisal regarding the status of the elevator. So I don't know that that was taken into account when they were doing the appraisal. And obviously the cost to potentially bring that up to code exceeds the assessed value.
I'm not experienced in selling commercial or property that the cost to fix a building is more than the value of the building. So if anybody has any expertise on that on the council, I'd be interested to hear it.
Madam Mayor, I think with that much work to be put into it, I mean, we'd be selling it for a very, very discounted price. But even if that price is more than what it costs to demo it, I mean, that would still be a win. So, but
Yes, it would.
And keep in mind too, the CIS appraisal is just for insurance purposes. It doesn't necessarily reflect market value. So we would have to see.
Do we know if there's any interest? Has anyone approached us interested in purchasing the building?
Not that I'm aware of. I have not had anyone come to me, asking if it was for sale.
We've had other potential lessees, but again, once the code issues came to light, they were no longer interested.
So maybe council would be most interested in finding out more about the value of the building, how much we could sell it for compared to the cost of demolition, so that we could figure out how to move forward with this building.
We could certainly pursue commercial appraisal.
Yeah, we can do that.
What do the counselors think of that before they?
I'm all good with that.
I support that. Whatever we can do to, maximize the expense we can get out of it. If the expense is greater than what the cost is to tear it down, and someone buys it, fine. But let's do something.
I'm in support.
Good next step.
Yeah, I do support somebody buying it at some sort of auction. I think that we might have talked about that quite a few years ago, but I am also kind of wanting to hold on to it as our asset and maybe have some sort of parking lot if we demo it. So I am torn. I like both.
I'm in support moving forward.
Okay. Staff will look into that. Okay. And then as far as your goal for the downtown building vacancy reduction, it's up for you guys to discuss and talk about and give staff some direction or guidance on what you would like to see or not see.
Councilor Hickey?
Yeah, I was just wondering, could we get a quick update on where the feed store's at and like the progress, what we're
Yeah,
doing?
so the person that I've been in contact with that has some interest there, they are still currently working with their contractor. That person messaged me actually this weekend just to let me know that they're still interested. They're going to gently nudge their contractor to hurry up with some estimates. So
Any comments from counselors? Both these items that they're bringing up now were voted on by the council as council goals for this next year. So any discussion regarding vacant buildings downtown?
I don't think it's the government's job to tell someone what they're going to do with their building or not. That's all I can say for that.
So, Madam Mayor, may I? So I read this really neat article about what they did to revitalize downtown Springfield. And I would love for you to possibly reach out to Commissioner Lovell because they had done a number of things to revitalize their downtown, bringing in investors, being tough on crime, having some sort of program where the city gave out loans for people to purchase buildings, is what I was told today. So if we could come up with some sort of approach that worked for them without harming property owners, innovative, see if we can do something like that in our community. I would love that.
Pretty quick, actually.
So I
Probably
I don't have Facebook, but I heard about a post, and a lot of the people on those comments were saying that they would like to see something done with downtown. And I would like to see something done with downtown. I don't understand why somebody would own a building for 17 years and not do anything with it. So there's some issues there. I think if somebody recently has purchased a building and trying to figure out what they're doing, as a business owner, money doesn't just fly off the shelves. And so you have to plan, you got to come up with procedures and try to figure out what you're going to do with the future. But I think people that have their building empty, they're not up to code. They're not up to fire code. They're not up to ADA code. They're not up to a lot of codes. And as a business owner, I got the government coming into my business all the time and telling me what to do. I hate it. It's a double-edged sword. But I have to comply or I got to pay or shut down. I don't like paying taxes, but I pay taxes. So I think something should be done to some of the buildings that have been empty for many, many, many years. Obviously, the owners are neglecting their responsibilities. If they don't want to do nothing with it, then they should sell it or they should donate it or something because somebody wants it and somebody would like to do something with it. I know lots of people have wanted to start businesses in Sweet Home and they can't because they can't get a hold of the owners. They can't do a lot of things. So I've only been on the council for 2.5 years and this has been an elephant in the room. So I think we need to address it somehow. That's my 2 cents.
Last year, when I was handing out the survey to people at different events, I received about 400 responses to the community input survey that was on Facebook, the city's Facebook page, but also passed out to individuals and to students. And there's 398 responses and 189 people mentioned downtown empty buildings. So I think that there are a lot of people that are concerned about the empty storefronts and the impact on the economic condition of Sweet Home and the place where we stand here as far as how to bring in new businesses. And I've heard from people who've requested to purchase buildings and been denied by people, by property owners. So I think there's concern there. I never want to harm a property owner or a business owner because small business is the backbone of our community. I want to work with them. That's why the SEEP program was brought up so many years ago. I believe that was in 2017 when it was first initiated. And lots of businesses participated in that program before the money ran out. And it's because we want to help, not harm. So I think that we can find creative ideas on how to help, but we also need to, as Pro Tem Thorstad said, it is the elephant in the room that seems to be impacting a lot of how our community can move forward. So this is what we're supposed to do, is come up with creative ideas. So I'm hoping to hear from counselors, and I'm sure staff is hoping to hear, since it's one of the goals.
So, Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
I did not vote for this, so it might have been a council goal, but I did not vote for this. I do not think that it is the role of municipalities to focus on things that are outside of critical infrastructure, and I'm not quite sure property owners and storefronts on Main Street is critical infrastructure. I have a real problem with having regulations and rules in this economic climate, and with the tariffs and with fight inflation and with COVID and all of these things to try to renovate and rehab. We have the issues that we're facing ourselves with Sandy Am Feed and trying to find somebody to renovate it and trying to find a contractor and trying to do X, Y, and Z. And so I feel like we've made a pretty good amount of progress, but I don't support a stick. I support a carrot. So thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I? I agree that we should not be telling property owners what to do with their buildings. I mean, they purchase them, they own them, and it's not up to us to tell them what they need to do or impose fines or anything of that nature. If there are ways that we can be innovative, that we can support, that's great. But as far as imposing fines, our place is to provide the infrastructure, the parking, the sidewalks, the inviting environment, but the actual buildings themselves, that's up to them.
Just like to clarify too, I've not heard anybody mention imposing fines. This is supposed to be a work session to discuss what ideas are out there. What can we do to help? It's not, nobody has mentioned imposing any fines. So just want to clarify that, since it's been brought up a couple of times, like the city wants to. So. Any other counselors have any ideas or thoughts?
So what is a regulation or a program or a strategic plan if you're not in compliance with that and you're not following through with that? Then what would happen if you made these ideas and they didn't follow through? You just have an aspirational goal and you hope to work with the property owners, or you're going to impose ordinance and then there's a compliance issue, and then what?
So I think that's part of what staff is seeking tonight, not necessarily getting direction that council is interested in imposing fines or penalties, but is that something that you would like us to investigate what other places are doing to see if there's anything that's palatable, or to decide, no, this is truly not right for our community. So that would be direction that we're seeking. We're happy to look at that. Again, there is the compliance issue. And I think if we were to go, as you say, the stick route, we would certainly want flexibility to work with those tenants, whether that's if you have an active permit, you get 2-year extension on, no vacant building fines, or just something like that. So again, we're just seeking, what do you want us to look into to come back with more robust proposals for you to consider, rather than us taking shots in the dark and doing a ton of research into things that you may not at all be interested in. And if you are interested in everything, we will look at everything.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have Facebook, but lots of people have had many ideas on what the city can do. And a lot of people reference Sisters, Lebanon, Brownsville. I've had businesses in Brownsville, Lebanon, Albany, and I know that their downtowns all have regulations and things that you can and you can't do. And none of those businesses really have empty buildings downtown because they have regulations. It doesn't matter if the regulations are fines. It just says there's regulations. And that's what we're trying to figure out, because everybody in Sweet Home agrees that something needs to be done with our downtown. We painted buildings. That was a great thing that the city did. There's lots of things that we can do. There's grants, there's lots of things. And that's what I just want something done instead of us doing nothing. So I never once said that we should fine anybody. But I do think that we need to have something in place. I know City of Lebanon on some of the businesses downtown gave the businesses grants to do modifications, new signs, new paint. One of the buildings that I purchased in Lebanon, right before I purchased it, they gave them $30,000 to repaint new awnings because they were all moldy, new signs, and so things like that. So again, I never once said that we should fine anybody, but we need to do something.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Has there been anything done as far as looking into grants, like such as the SEEP grant? Or maybe something along, small business resources. I mean, there's so much stuff out there. Like if somebody does want to purchase a building,
So we have, one of my city manager goals is to try to build up the SEEP grant funding. Currently we rent out the Flex building out there off of 42nd Avenue. So we're taking that rent, putting that into there, but that's going to take some time to build that up because that's just one stream of funding that is going into that. So, one of the reasons that I wanted to include that as a city manager goal is I thought it was important to try to build that back up. And so it may take some time, but eventually we will get there. So that is just one way.
And in terms of external grant opportunities, one of the challenges we have is that the majority of those, for example, in Albany's been very successful, but they have separate revenue streams that they use as required matches to get those grants. We don't have a dedicated economic development revenue stream anymore. That's what SEEP came out of, and that has all but dried up. And like City Manager Ogden said, it's going to take a long time to build that up with even the limited revenue that we're putting back into it going into next year. So again, if you want to look at those opportunities, we can, but we'd have to have a serious conversation about the funding structure because we'd either have to remove that from other programming in the general fund or impose some other kind of revenue source.
So just real quick, if we were, this is a long way off, if we were to do something with Old City Hall, like could those funds possibly go into a fund to help, other businesses come or
yes.
purchase? Or
so if we were to, for example, sell the building as part of the approval of that sale, City Council could direct where those funds could go.
Kind of off topic a little bit, but for example, the San Am feed building, do you know how much that's worth now compared to when we bought it?
No, we've not had, I don't believe we've had the recent appraisal. Maybe the one at the end of the year included that. I don't remember, but was somewhere, I don't remember. It was somewhere in the 250, 260 range, somewhere in there. Maybe a little more.
That we got it for.
Yes.
Yeah. Couldn't we sell that and then put that money back into the SEEP grant?
That is always something that council can discuss and, as part of this. So.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a business owner, I'm always wanting to generate revenue, and I hate that cities have to run off of taxes and high fees for everything. But if the city isn't making money, then it has to tax. So the city does own properties, and I think if the properties were managed properly and put people in those positions, there would be a revenue. There's places that we own that we could turn into facilities that can generate revenue. And I think that's something the city should do, but we don't. That's the point of the Santiam feed was to purchase it. It was at a low price, what we were told. and generate revenue. But there's some historical value there that we need to keep, and that costs money. So if we sell it, we sell it. I mean, that's fine with me, but that was the whole point of it, was to generate revenue.
Madam Mayor, it's not registered on the whatever American Historical Landmark Association, so I don't understand if it was built in 54. It's not history. It was I mean, for years, the city has said that we have stuff where we're just not making money on, like buildings and everything. And for years, I've heard this. I'm sick of hearing this. Just get rid of them. If they aren't making us money, then just get rid of it.
May I? With the Santiam feed building, my concern is how much money we'll have to put into it as a city. And I just don't think that the city should be in the landlord business. I think we should be providing the infrastructure and providing that component and allowing private business owners to purchase the buildings. So I agree with what Dylan said. I think if we could sell that building and put that money somewhere and in an interest-bearing account and be able to provide grants, that would be awesome.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea how much property Brownsville owns? Do we have any idea how much Lebanon owns?
I do not.
Do you have any idea how many Albany owns? No?
I don't.
May I? Councilor Thorstad, do you? I'm curious.
don't.
I'm curious.
I don't. I know City of Lebanon
what you're
owns,
thinking.
at least last time I went to one of their city council meetings, I know that, don't quote me on this, but I think they own around 27 properties that they use for revenue. And then they just recently donated one of them to implement a homeless shelter that's being in process. But cities own properties for revenue, so they're not having to rake up taxes every year, because the city raises cost every year. The state raises cost every year. Costs go up every year for everyone. And the only people that are going to eat that are the taxpayers. So it's common sense.
So, Madam Mayor, may I? So I really like the idea of collaborating with Springfield and Commissioner Lovell to see what he's done over the course of time. And I'm just going to keep bringing that up because what they've done to Springfield is incredible, like night and day, but it does take effort and work. I know they opened back up their municipal jail to help with crime too. I know that they offer loans with interest. So if that money could be loans with interest, we can generate revenue that way. But I, again, have been on this council too for 5 years, and we have been working on this for 5 years. We've probably been working on this for a lot longer than that. And I think that we might have less vacant buildings than when you quoted us that number in 2023. So there has been progress, I would believe, because we do have new storefronts, new coffee shops, new massage therapists, things like that. So I think we are making progress. Everybody's painted, everybody's beautiful. I think that we just need to pause when people in the community are trying to get us to enforce things on private property owners.
I don't like the word pause, because there's been counselors on this council for years now, prior to me being on here, about wanting to get stuff done. People elected us to get stuff done, and to pause is not what we're here for.
I've been pretty quiet on this one because I really don't have any answers what we can do. If I had something I could contribute, I would, but I don't know. It's a real issue down there. I'm not opposed to looking at the values if we could, sell a piece, move it on, and bank some of that to use and invest in improving the infrastructure down there in those buildings. But I don't have any answers on this one.
So maybe we could come up with an inventory of what the city owns as far as property goes in the community. I think that Pro Tem Thorstad's ideas for revenue for a city, especially one that struggles with the amount of money is in our general fund, which is very little, is a good idea. But at the same time, we need to have counselors' input on what's available and what we can do with it. So maybe having a inventory done, and then looking at ideas that have been out there. We've already done this before, but I don't want staff to waste their time on research. They put a lot of work into researching ideas. If it seems the council is divided as far as private property and what the council can do or what the council should do regarding private property. I think if we choose not to do anything, we need to remember we can no longer compare ourselves to Lebanon, Sisters, Albany, any other community that has regulations on their buildings downtown. If we choose to not do anything, which I'm not suggesting we have to do anything. I'm feeling pretty neutral in this whole thing. I'm not that interested in anything right now. There's nothing that I want to go forward on anything, but I think if we have an inventory of what the property we have in the community and what the value is, that could help us maybe spark another conversation. I think it is sad that the city of Sweet Home has had buildings empty since I moved here 16 years ago. I heard somebody else said 17 years they'd known about empty buildings, and we've had some of the same buildings empty for that full length of time, only because there's so much potential in our community. And I think we hear from people often how much empty storefronts inhibits economic growth. I hear that from visitors that drive through our community. I hear it from people in our community. I hear it from newcomers to our community who would like to start businesses and they've not been given the green light from any property owners. So I think it's a sad state of affairs. But we either do nothing at all and just be satisfied with the way it is and move forward, or we research some ideas that might be challenging, but might actually produce something good. So the council, we've all been elected to make difficult decisions that we don't always know how they're going to turn out, but we need to consider possibilities and weigh them with the long-term impact on Sweet Home. If we have a consensus of just a property inventory list, can we
Madam
get
Mayor.
that far?
I would also like to say that I know that this has been a priority for council for a while now. And excuse me, I just to let you know, one of the things that Deputy City Manager Cecily and myself have been working on is developing relationships with some of our property owners. And I think that is one of the reasons why we are currently where we are with the old Santiam feed building, whether that turns into a sale or renting or whatever. I just want to point out, I think it's because of the relationships that we've had with some of the people in the community that is where it's at right now. Additionally, I just had somebody come to me the other day saying, hey, the early intervention program that has been out in Crawfordsville, I think it's in their school out there. One of our sergeants at the PD, his wife works out there, and he said, hey, I just want to talk to you from as a city manager. They're not able to use that space out there anymore. and they're looking to rent. And I don't know all of the details, but I think they've kind of looked in Lebanon and not having any luck. And we're actually kind of looking at moving to Corvallis, I think. And he said, "Is there any possibility for, a building in Sweet Home that you know of?" And I said, "Actually, I have a relationship with somebody." And so I reached out to them, and they were very excited about potentially, at least, having a conversation with them about renting one of their buildings out. And so I just want council to know that we are actually doing things behind the scenes. Sometimes things come up and conversations happen, and you don't expect them to come up, when they do. And it's like, oh, so anyway, all of that to say is we're working hard to develop relationships with some of our building owners. And I just want you all to know that. So it takes time, it takes effort, and relationship building, but I'm very thankful. Whether it works out or not, I'm very thankful to this family that does own some buildings in town for really having that conversation with me. I appreciate that.
It's great news. Maybe adding to the city property inventory list, can we have an updated list on vacant storefronts? Because we have had some improvements, some buildings filled. Maybe that would also give us an idea of what's really going on right now. Is that something is anybody willing to agree with that, consensus on that, or?
No.
Property or city property inventory list, and also empty storefronts so we can see where the improvement's at. Because if there was 20, how many before in 23? 23 and 23?
Yeah, that's what it was.
So maybe it's only 20 now.
It might be.
That might be something worth celebrating.
Sorry about that. I thought that was just for this is just for the difference between 23 and now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we can look into that. If that's what council wants us to do. I mean,
Updated list. Yes, I support that.
Yes.
Yes.
Some direction for staff. Yeah. The city in no way, and the staff, I can speak for the staff, in no way want to harm any private property owner. That's never been a goal or a desire for anybody. It's to see the city as a whole, and that's what councilors are elected to do, see the city as a whole and find ways to move the whole city forward in a way that's healthy for our community, and brings life to people here. And I know there's a lot of private property owners who are working very diligently to upgrade their properties, and we appreciate all of them. And it's in no way, this discussion is in no way to target anybody, because we know that there's things that happen. But there's been some great improvements made to some private property buildings downtown. And yeah, so I just want to thank all the private property owners who have invested into their buildings. It's been good to see. Is there any other comments or questions from councilors?
May I? I just want to thank you for having that conversation. I know that facility out there, it serves a lot of our community. So thank you for being the facilitator in between. I appreciate that. And then I also am just curious, have we heard from some of these building owners what supports they might like to see from the city? Like, do they want grants? Do they want improved parking? Do they want no parking zones? I mean, have we heard from the owners of the properties, the vacant ones that we're kind of talking about? I'd love to hear what
I
they
have
like.
not. I might look at some staff that has been around for a while to see if maybe they've heard anything. But if not, I haven't heard of anything. So
I was just thinking of,
Yeah.
if we're thinking of ways to be innovative to support, I would love to hear how we could support. Because like you said, we're here to look at the city as a whole and how we can help.
And I will say, I do know some of the feedback has been related to bringing interiors up to code, and sometimes finding that right match of a tenant who can sustain a rent level to make the renovations worth it can be a challenge.
but more how the city can support them. That's kind of what I'm. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions of counselors?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Mhm.
And I would also love to see if we could reach out to the property owners and have some sort of meeting of the minds instead of us just up here, like Councilor Augsburger said, trying to figure out without them coming to the table too. I know there's been a lot of broken trust in the past. Hopefully we can start repairing that and rebuilding that, and seeing how we can move forward together.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I'm going to close this work session out at 6:15 p.m. We'll start council at 6:30.